Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. My name is Reed. Along with me, as always, is Mike. Mike, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, Reed. How about you?
Doing okay. Long week, but getting to the end of it here. I guess when this posts to be Monday, so it started, I guess. But you and I are going to talk DC Studios or DCU or whatever we're calling it these days, the James Gunn universe of DC characters or whatever it is.
The
Uh,
Gunniverse.
the Gunniverse. As some people have said, James Gunn's Superman, written by James Gunn, directed by James Gunn, starring James Gunn's friends. Um, Superman was not a huge hit, but it hit the cultural lexicon. It did better than any other superhero movie this year. And I think the one takeaway you and I had from Superman, Mike, was we saw a lot of kids enjoyed that movie, and Gunn's approach to it with more kind of kid friendly characters like Crypto and a little bit of brightly colored things and humor. It was more of a kid-friendly superhero movie than we've been used to in a bit. Even I'd say more kid-friendly-esque than like most Marvel films
Yeah.
have been. The caveat to that is the follow-up has been a very hard R rated show in Peacemaker. And we've now seen Hawk Girl from the Superman movie. We've now seen Guy Gardner from the Superman movie. Most importantly, we saw Lex Luthor from the Superman movie.
Just
And
last week.
when they showed up on Peacemaker, they were not acting like the PG-13 versions that we got in the James Gunn Superman film. Mike, I'll pose it to you on this. Not even to speak of the quality of Peacemaker. If you enjoy that, you enjoy that. However, do you think such a drastic shift from it's crypto and the friendly robots to
Yeah.
Lex Luthor's dropping multiple F bombs in the episodes. Do you think that will hurt DC? Do you think it's bridging into multiple audiences? How do you feel about such a drastic tonal shift?
Um, I didn't really bat an eye at it because my brain already has it partitioned off. Now,
Mhm,
if Superman had appeared on Peacemaker and started dropping F-bombs, I'd be like, what's going on?
mhm.
But have the somewhat degraded team of Justice League, with Guy
Justice
Gardner.
Gang, yeah.
Yeah, the Justice Gang, and they're a little bit roguish. And then, of course, Lex Luthor is the biggest rogue of all time. So I don't mind those characters dropping. I don't think it hurts the brand of Superman at all. As far as the cinematic part goes, I love that they wrote that movie for the general audience. We need more comic book movies like that. I felt like I had had a a spiritual bath or something. And I got to go into a clean comic book universe where, there's that optimism and the color palette of that movie and the brightness of it.
It was a Silver Age comic brought to life, yeah.
Yeah, it was everything was uplifted, and so that's great. But I do like my down and dirty, my grungy stuff occasionally, and Peacemaker brings all of that and a bag of more. And so when these lovable rogues and these hateable rogues, like with Lex Luthor, show up on Peacemaker in a Peacemaker show, I didn't even bat an eye. I just expected it. I didn't really think about it until you mentioned, we should discuss it.
Mhm.
So I'm rolling it over in my brain now and thinking, no, I think, the audience of this genre of material is, versed in this kind of thing. We understand, like from the Daredevil show, on Netflix, that things are
Mhm.
going to be grittier sometimes on TV. This isn't Disney, this isn't Disney Plus, this is a different type of TV. So you wouldn't have well, would you? What's Marvel doing now over on Disney Plus?
It's all the Daredevil stuff. I mean, so and I
But
mean,
Daredevil's been kind of homogenized a little bit.
well, they toned it down a bit on some episodes, then others they didn't. I think
Yeah.
Deadpool. is probably the Stark. Deadpool is probably Deadpool Wolverine is probably your Peacemaker comparison. And
Yeah, there you go.
that was a very hard R rated. I think Peacemaker's still a little more than even Deadpool and Wolverine was.
Right,
That's
right.
the closest direct comparison that we have.
Can I
It,
just say I love Eagly? He's like probably one of my favorite characters. I don't know if they got a real bird doing that, if that's CGI, but I love Eagly. I know there's, we've got animal friends now. We got, Crypto, and now we have Eagly, but I love Eagly.
so I'll probably be the grumpy old man on this one. Um,
Okay.
can I admit that Peacemaker has some good acting? I think John Cena, man, he's learned to act way better than most wrestling counterparts than he's had. Um, I'm not even
Throw
gonna.
that caveat in there. Albeit a
I'll,
former
I'll give
wrestler.
him compliments from the start of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna say Peacemaker's a poorly written show. I'm not gonna say it's poorly directed. A lot of fans seem to be hitting with it. And if you enjoy the show, you enjoy the show. I'm not here to tell anybody you're wrong or anything like that. I hate that DC's doing this stuff. I absolutely hate it. And here's why. I am sick and tired of DC and Marvel forgetting who the characters were created for, and it's kids. And Marvel, and this is what I'll never forgive the MCU for being so stupid. Marvel had this perfect formula.
they did.
Every 3 to 4 months, you check in with a nice PG to PG-13 rated movie. They were PG-13, but they were really never even pressing the borders of
Yeah,
PG-13 with most of the movies. It was a perfect movie that you could take a 6 to 7 year old with, and they'd love it, and a 30-year-old would watch it and love it, and a 50-year-old could watch it and love it. And if you ever liked anything about comic books, you typically would read a Marvel movie and it hit you. It wasn't kiddish and stupid, but it wasn't also over the top dramatic. And they had that perfect formula for dang near a decade up until Tony Stark snapped away and died. And then stupidly, they were like, let's do TV shows and let's do cartoons and we need to branch out and do R rated stuff. And look, I love the Daredevil Netflix show. I absolutely love that show. I will also say I've become more conflicted on it as it goes because I have kids. And my kids love Daredevil because I love Daredevil, and they can read a lot of my Daredevil comic books, although Frank Miller stuff's a little mature.
yeah,
And but they can't watch Daredevil's TV show. Well, my oldest is now old enough; he can. The younger one, it's like, man, he runs around, loves to pretend he's Daredevil. It's like, kid, you're 12 to 14 years away from being able to watch Daredevil.
yeah.
Punisher, hard R-rated character, I get it, but even that show is a bit much. And again, for my sensibilities as a 35 plus year old guy, that's fine. But I hate that DC and Marvel do, and this is where I wanted DC to be. Marvel threw that out. Marvel started chasing everything. And if you watch this, then here's a TV show for you to go into, and then here's this for you to follow. It's like, no, idiots, you had it perfect. Every
Yeah.
3 to 4 months, you go to the movies, you see a competently put together, well intentioned movie that's pretty good for most audiences. And then for some reason, they like, let's do more. I don't understand why this is the second project of DC. And I know Creature Commandos came first, and that was super R rated too. But I think the thing is, like comic books, the thing that Marvel successfully replicated was the to be continued that we all loved, that hooked us on books. And they did it on this scale that comics never even could. Of that post credit stinger was the to be continued dot dot dot. And let's run out and find it 3 months from now. DC, any kid who loves Superman, when they go look up what's the next project in the DCU, and they're all smart enough to get on the internet, it is a show with a ton of F bombs and orgies and weird crap happening.
It
And you
does.
have that Superman logo at the beginning of every episode of him breaking the chain. And it's like, what are we doing? And I get it. Peacemaker, different audience. It's not for kids, but why would we design it that way? Why would we have this really, as you said, almost a palette? And I'm not as big a Superman fan as many, but that was a palette cleanse movie for DC. DC was the dark, do you bleed with
Yeah,
Batman and
yeah,
all that, and
yeah.
psychotic Batman stabbing people and weird crap happening all the time. And again, that's probably an over exaggeration of what the Snyderverse was, but it was dark and depressing. And you got this cheerful, optimistic, almost overly so Superman film that made everybody feel good. Where do we pivot to next? Is it a brightly colored Wonder Woman movie? Is it a Batman movie set in that tone? Is it Shazam? Is it The Flash? Is it Aquaman? There's a million directions we could go. Let's have orgy scenes and F bombs and Lex Luthor talking about sex in prison. And it's like, what are we doing? Why is this the direction we went? And it reminds me of when, and maybe I'm being too old man screaming at the clouds here, but I will always remember Deadpool and Wolverine. And look, I enjoyed that movie when I saw it, but it kills me that my younger kids who love Wolverine will not get to watch Wolverine in his full costume as a character from the 10 to 12 years because we had to have that when he threw on the mask, Deadpool's got to make a crass sex joke right after it. And we need 15 to 20 references of sexual things and behead. And it's like, I get it. Yes, the claws would probably be bloody. I understand. But Wolverine is ostensibly a superhero in a children's superhero universe. And to me, I don't know, Peacemaker bugs me a little more even because it's like, no, you don't get this, kids. We were so dang determined that it needs to meet us where we are. I don't know, Mike. Do you think I'm being too angry old man with the clouds there, or how do you?
Well, you have to be when you're a parent, right?
Yeah.
But this is the whole maturity of comic books that the comic book industry tried to go down in the 90s and the 2000s. And it's a little bit of like what you get from the indie wall at your comic book shop. You never
Hmm.
know, you can pick up more adult themed comics there
Yeah.
where the tales are more gritty. And I like that. And I've gravitated heavily towards the indies in the last 15
Hmm.
years, and buy them, and they're not all overly sexual or whatever, but the themes are
But
mature.
you'll get stories that do have that. Yeah, for sure.
But you do get stories that do that. The reason I love Peacemaker is it's so irreverent. It's like kind of like an R-rated version. Remember The Tick?
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
came
I remember
out, and Peacemaker is so lovable and dumb, and his friends. I don't know. I enjoy the story. It's an adults only story though, but you got to understand that the comic book fandom is has a vast diversity of an age range. I do feel on principle you have to hit that median range like they did in Superman and in the Marvel universe. You have to hit that for the kids, and that content has to be that way on the comic book shelves as well.
that. Hmm.
You can't dial up this kind of stuff on a mainstream comic, but Peacemaker's like a fifth string superhero, so
Yeah.
you can have all the adult fun that you want with it, and I think James Gunn is having a heck of a time doing it. Um, it's funny, it's irreverent, it's adult themed, and mature themed, and maybe it's a bit sophomoric the way it goes there.
Hmm.
It got legs, it got a second season, which is hard to do.
Oh no,
And
we've seen
so
so much get canceled and not
so
move.
it's hitting and it's making money. And when DC's making money, I'm happy because I want to keep those Flash comics coming. And so,
Yeah.
if they're making money, that's a good thing. And the mature audience, our friend Bill, he loves the show, and just enjoys the heck out of it. But it's not for kids. It's not. And I think there's a world that can exist where both are kind of like on the comic book shelf. You have the indies over here, and then you have the big two. I wish the big two would focus more on that, and then maybe the occasional black label or red label, whatever Marvel's doing. I like that, but I'm with you on the movies. the broad, uh, big release movies should always be that Toy Story, formula where,
Yeah, what
or
Pixar used to do so well. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, or even Disney, when they were making cartoons in the 30s and 40s, everybody thought, oh, if it's animated, it's just for kids. But we all love those movies just as much as the kids did, and that's the formula you got to write for. I feel for the general audience, but I do like these little niches where they go off and are irreverent and absurd, um, and have the
Yeah,
more.
I think the thing is, I mean, like, it's nothing against the quality of the. I don't personally like the show all that much. I know if people do, and if you do, awesome. I'm not here to tell you. Like, I can't stand when people turn it into I don't like it, so you should hate it. Like, your opinion's your opinion, right? If you enjoy the show and it hits you, my biggest thing I wish they had is what these, and this has been bugging me out Peacemaker from the beginning of this. It's the last vestiges of the DCEU. All those things that the original Peacemaker show was set in that old universe. That Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did was in that old universe. And for some reason, and let us instead of letting Superman just be the first thing in a new step, it's like James Gunn is like, no, man, my friends and my wife were in that show, so it's got to be in this new universe too. And I think that's the part that drugs me is I don't care if they made a Peacemaker season 2, but just have it be in the old universe. I think the other part is where I think DC's got to be careful. And maybe this doesn't matter. Maybe I am just out of touch. And if I am, that's okay. Um, when you have Peacemaker cameo in the Superman movie, and you have Hawkgirl cameo in the Superman movie, and then you put them in this, you're as much as we're gonna say it's the adults only one, you made it the continuation of the kid friendly Superman. And so it's kind of like if, hey, we did the original Toy Story movie, and then there's a spin-off that has, the what's the stretchy dog and the ham character, and they're dropping F bombs and but it doesn't have Woody in it. So it's like, no, but kids are gonna see that and be like, wait a second, this is this, and that's I just if there was an Image Comics thing in the front of this thing instead of DC or Blacklight, but you put the same Superman logo and the same thing, and it's your same shared universe. I just feel like it's a misstep. And what I don't get about
Randy,
these companies, Marvel showed people for a decade,
you
what
could do
you
it.
make happy, colorful, friendly family fare. And eventually, if you do that well enough, people will connect and you go forward. And DC just drives me insane that this is the second time they've launched a universe with Superman. And the next project was not a Superman sequel or a Batman solo movie or a Wonder Woman solo movie or some happy, optimistic thing. Instead, it was, here's Batman trying to murder Superman for 3.5 hours, kids, is the sequel to that in the first universe. And in this one, the first thing we get is this R-rated Peacemaker show. It's like, why can't they just, man, if they had just followed that Superman movie with that tone and that everything, and let's do a Batman movie, that's the easy next step. And I feel like DC is
I
trying
don't.
to make a flea flicker happen when they can't complete a handoff, like to use the sports term. And it's like, just how about we do something simple first before we're like, but here's the R-rated hardcore 12 part. It's just, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just out of touch though. But that's my 2 cents on it. Anything to close it out for us, Mike?
No, I think it's to be continued, and but I don't think Peacemaker, if they would have, I don't know, maybe they could have written him differently
Oh,
and
it
and
wouldn't have worked as a show in a PG-13 setting. It would have
yeah,
lost its own fan base. Uh,
yeah.
so I agree with you there. I just think, did we really need it that bad? That it was worth bringing in the old universe stuff and taking the optimistic characters of the Superman movie and putting them into that tone. I don't know. But let us know. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you agree, disagree, that's okay, folks. Like if you think I'm way over the top on this, that's okay. I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert. Again, like as always, we're two guys giving our opinions. If you disagree, that's completely fine. Just let us know what you think down below. We're never gonna, get offended or act like we're better or whatever. Like it's just a conversation. So we appreciate getting your thoughts no matter what they are. As always, thank you for watching, folks. God bless you. We'll catch you in our next video.
Thanks, everybody.